Would you tell me her name again, Ann's name? Full name? Clifford. Okay.
Clifford.
Yes.
Yeah, I got it. I wrote it down somewhere.
Anne comes by way of the city of Waltham. She was the curator for the Stonehurst, the Payne estate, for 25 years.
24.
24 years. So, so she.
I worked for you once.
I remember. It was terrific.
I love
wish
that
we
place.
had more funding.
Yeah, yes. It's a beautiful place. But I'm glad you're helping out the town of Concord.
Yeah, we're very lucky. So, all right. Anything else you need from me, Nancy?
I'm sorry.
Anything else you need from me right now?
No. Are you going to introduce Elizabeth? Or are you going to introduce Anne? I'm looking right at your name.
So is everybody here?
Pretty much. Hi, Chris Clem. So we've got, I'm just trying to write down 2 seconds.
Why don't we start introducing ourselves?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay.
So
I'm Clarissa Rowe, town of Arlington.
And maybe a little bit like your background. Just
Oh,
that.
I'm a landscape architect.
Have to turn yourself in. Okay. Simone, I'm just looking at my screen. So Simone.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Simone Massione. I'm the superintendent at Minuteman National Historical Park. So it's so nice to meet you, and we'll be doing a lot of work together. So welcome aboard.
Okay, Paula. Whoops, she's gone.
Sorry. Paula Vaughn McKenzie. I'm the Director of Planning and Land Use for the town of Lincoln.
Okay.
And I have to jump on a call and I'll be back.
Okay.
My apologies.
That's okay. Sarah. Oops, you're muted. Maybe Bob can introduce himself. I'll come back to you.
Sure.
Come back.
Bob Dominitz. I'm on the planning board in Lincoln.
And Richard.
Richard Kennelly, NAPC representative, former planning board.
Can you go to the other meeting?
Yes.
Okay. There we go. I can hear Paul. Yeah, there he is. Let's.
We obviously all would love to see this happen.
And then, okay, we have some visitors here with us today. So somebody's microphone is picking up a lot. I can't see who that is. Does anybody know? Anyway, make sure if you're talking, your microphones are muted. Okay, Sarah. Sorry, I hate to call on you again when you're muted. Nope, you're still muted. Jean?
There we go.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
Go. Sarah, go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sarah Mattis, former selectman from the town of Lincoln and one of the founding members who were instrumental in creating the Battle Road Scenic Byway and drafting the mission statement and the Scenic Byway plan. And I'm now minister without portfolio, citizen of Lincoln.
Jean?
Jean Krieger, Lexington, a former selectman, and I've probably been involved as long as Sarah, but may not have been as active.
Hi, Jennifer Curtin, to you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Curtin. I'm the Assistant Director of Planning and Land Use for the town of Lincoln. I've been on the committee for about a year, but I've worked for the town of Lincoln for about 5 years now.
Okay, and Bob, you said hello, right? So Richard said hello. Ollie.
Hi, I'm Allie Carter. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator for the town of Arlington.
And Paul?
I'm Paul Fennelly. I'm one of the citizen representatives on the byway from the town of Arlington.
And Chris Clem.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I work at MassDOT's Office of Transportation Planning. I'm a regional planning coordinator and Scenic Byway coordinator.
Thank you. And very, very instrumental in the process that we're up to our ears or over our head with already. So, okay. the meeting's being recorded. We've introduced ourselves, and Anne, would you like to say a few words as our new senior planner?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm just so honored to be amongst you all and here to help wherever you need help. And, I'm very excited to start as senior planner, working with the Historic District Commission and CPA.
I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Okay. I've asked Ollie today. I know everybody's been working like crazy on this grant, and I also know people have time constraints this morning. But I wanted to ask Ollie if she would kind of give us a brief rundown. Somehow there's still noise coming into the meeting. Can't figure out why. Anyway, if you could give us a rundown of where you're at and what you still need and how you're approaching the project.
Sure. So I received pieces from everyone. Thank you so much. I worked as best as I could to bring all those pieces together. But I'm frankly at an impasse because there's one coherent piece from Arlington. There's one coherent piece from Lincoln. There's two pieces from Concord, and there's two pieces from Lexington. And I don't feel like I have anything, whatever word it is, to decide from my seat for those towns what you want to do. What's especially troubling about it is that we have to pick a lane with this grant. It has to be like one of a number of categories. There can be like parts of it that fall under a different category, but like really you have to pick one main theme, and not all the pieces fit under one theme. My suggestion from looking at all the stuff would be that it's actually tourism. But there's a piece from Concord that's about, it's like resource stewardship, and there's a piece from Lexington about safety. If we cannot agree right now, like at this meeting, about this stuff, we're not going to get this done in a week. I'm just by Monday, and I'm not going to work on the weekend. I'm just being frank with you guys. Like I have very little time left to devote to this, and it's really very unfortunate that we've gotten this far and there's still not agreement. I will say that I think if the folks in Concord can agree on the various pieces,
we're gonna be doing that today.
Great. And then if same with Lexington, if the folks can agree, I don't see a speed study fitting into this. I have to say it, and I know you've worked hard on it, Richard, but I just don't see it. I tried to see it, I read it, it just doesn't fit. And when you couple that with that MassDOT who's our partner on this, is really strongly saying we do not support this part of it, I think we have to not include it in this grant. It can be approached a different way in towns on their own, but I really think that is not gonna work in this proposal. So I'm not saying it can't happen ever anywhere, but I just don't see it working for this grant. So I'm very limited in the amount of time, extremely limited in the amount of time I can put toward this going forward. And I think we can't finish it without agreeing to the content. And also the budget is there's no budget right now. Like I've got like prices and numbers, but those things have to come together in this hour or it's not going to work. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Is that all? Yeah, okay.
Well said, Ally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, thank you so much, and thank you for tackling this, this difficult task to begin with. I mean, knitting all these things together is very.
And I thought, I said this to Nancy before, I thought Sheila's work last night was it was a really good step forward. And in her email, she said that the town of Lexington doesn't want the speed study in this grant. So Richard and Jean, I think you need to work with your town and figure out what you want by the end of the day, or Ally can't do the grant. She just can't do it. It just.
Or we could go forward and leave Lexington out.
Right.
I don't know if that's a good idea. I think if anything, Lexington needs to come to an agreement, or like, if you don't think you can, we can like vote in as a group, because that's why this meeting is here, right? We're supposed to agree on what we're writing on, so we could vote about it. That's another approach.
Did you say that Sheila said that Lexington didn't agree
Yes.
on this?
In her email this morning.
Yeah, she wrote a very thorough email that would have been good for all to read before the meeting.
I was reading all of my very, yeah. No, I just read that she wasn't attending, and I thought that
Yeah,
was.
you
the
didn't go
not
further
attending
down.
Email. Yeah, sorry. Oh, okay, that's a serious issue for Lexington then. But Ally, you're saying you would like a response to that today or this morning. But she was not here. So Jean and Richard are here.
Well, hold on, Nancy. So I'm just looking at Sheila's letter right now, and she starts off by saying she's not clear on whether Route 2A is being proposed as part of a speed study or not, Route 2A in Lincoln. And she thought it was being excluded based on the last meeting's conversations, but she's really not clear whether it's included. And I think if it is included, she really doesn't understand why it should be, because MassDOT has their own way of dealing with speeds within their corridor. So I don't know, maybe Richard, can you clarify whether or not 2A in Lincoln was part of what you're still proposing? And you're muted, Richard.
Okay. I'm really puzzled because when I look at all the separate pieces, they all seem to fit together. And they all seem to be under the umbrella of improving the visitor experience in 2025. And I guess that's why I'm a little puzzled as to why we think they're not all tied together. Let me say a couple of things about Sheila's letter and about conversations I've had with our engineer and other things that have occurred along the way. And I think maybe one of the unfortunate parts is that the study that I'm proposing we include is called speed management, because that's what the title of what MassDOT has proposed. So I think if we can be clear on it, MassDOT's objection is not to the study, but to whether they would be paying for it. And what we're saying is we're not expecting MassDOT to pay for this. We're expecting the grant to pay for this. This is MassDOT's own process. So it's not something we're inventing. It's not something that MassDOT doesn't enthusiastically support. They were just saying that they don't have it in their budget to conduct this themselves. So I think that's what MassDOT's objection is.
Okay.
The second thing is whether or not 2A is included or not. We talked about it the last time, and I had said if people were not comfortable with 2A, and I guess Arlington from the town line to to Arlington Center, if they wanted to exclude that part from it, I guess that would be up to the committee to decide. I think the unfortunate part is that I think people are looking at the 2A and sort of tarring this process with the 2A experience. And if 2A experience never existed, this process is still a good process to help tie together all of the things that people have proposed.
Oh, okay.
I think it'd be good to
I
get
think-
Jean to speak too.
Yeah, so the goals of the speed study are sort of twofold. One is we're talking about the visitor experience. The other part is we're talking about how do we get this to be a unified byway? How do we get residents and stakeholders to all be involved in it? Because too often people think of us as the friends of the Minuteman National Park. And when I talked to the Historical Commission a while back and sort of talked about our byway, and they says, well, that's out in, on the other side of Route 128. It has nothing to do with us. And I says, well, we're right on the byway right now. And here's what occurred on April 19th. Here's what the byway thing. Oh, we never thought about that. So the public process that this study would take is probably the most important part of it. And to get people to understand what the byway is about, to be able to say, it's not Minuteman Park, it's us, it's all of us. I think that's one of the key things.
Richard,
In terms of engineering.
can you wrap up, please? Because
Yeah.
other people want to speak and we have a
Right.
very limited amount of
Right.
time, everybody.
Yep. In terms of engineering, three things in Lexington that we've talked about over the years. One is we've talked about bicycle accommodations on Mass Ave. And part of the problem is that there's a school and sometimes they want to park on Massachusetts Avenue. And there's no real process to how to resolve those kinds of things. Same thing with Old Mass Ave at Fisk Hill. And so engineering has said, we're amenable to all these changes, but we can't afford to do a public process. We don't have the time or expertise to do it. And here we have a potential consultant to help get those things resolved. In East Arlington, they went through a whole process and got that. Because of the public process, they managed to reach an agreement on it. So
1 minute, please.
Yeah.
Really?
I'll stop there. I think our one project, I think, is an important part because I think the town is going to match $200,000 out of that one thing in terms of the crossing of the byway. So
Okay.
I have some
Okay.
budget figures.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Richard. Jean has had her hand up for a
Yeah,
long time.
I mean,
and then Elizabeth.
I mean, I'm going to reiterate to what Richard has said. I think to Lexington and to the discussions that I've had with the Lexington Select Board, whatever you call it, the speed management portion, or what I'd like to call the recalibration of speed in the entire corridor, is critical to this project. And as Richard has said, I believe that that is a theme that will be able to tie all the elements together that we've already spoken of. Establishing safety for bicycles along the entire corridor, I think, is critical, and that falls under something that we can expect to see as a result of this recalibration of an analysis of the speed throughout the corridor. So contrary to what Sheila has said, the speed management piece is important to Lexington, and I believe it's important to the overall cohesiveness of the grant proposal.
Can you,
Okay.
Richard and Jean, can you be in touch with your planning department by the end of the day and make a decision and let us know?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I said yes.
Okay, and Elizabeth Hughes has her hand up.
So I'm just gonna, as a planner, and although I have not been involved significantly with this, and Heather Gill has been, I have been involved in a significant number of grant proposals, and I'm gonna kind of side with Ally. If MassDOT's coming off with their comments that this speed study is not something that they support, to include that in this grant, I think ultimately the grant would not be funded. And that's just, I'm sure Simone can talk about how federal grants work and how federal and state agencies, try to coordinate, and it's a fact of the grant process. And if there is a state agency that is not in support of a grant, then that adds to the likelihood that that grant will not be successful. So I understand the reasons, Richard and Jean, and think it's a valid item for to move forward, to look at other things. But if we're talking about 3 days to get a grant put together for a lot of other things that are also equally beneficial, you have to just kind of cut to the chase and try and put something that's going to be ultimately successful.
Okay, thanks, Elizabeth. And Simone, your hand was up.
Yes, I just want to reiterate the point that I raised in the last meeting and that Elizabeth just spoke to as well. Again, I am not discounting the benefit of what's being proposed as relates to the speed management, but I think for the technicality of what we're trying to put into the grant application, I don't think it meshes with the other elements that we're proposing. So I think we either make a decision where the speed management is in and everything else drops off, or everything else stays in and the speed management drops out. So again, not that there isn't another opportunity to get that speed management study through different potential funding areas, but I think in order for our grant application to be competitive, that it would be better without it.
Okay, let's see. Sarah, where'd she go? Oh, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm here. I have a couple of comments. I wasn't at the last meeting, and I have a really fundamental question, which may be a reflection of my ignorance, and may be a reflection of the fact that I'm now at the 50,000-foot level. Politically, it seems to me that the aesthetic improvements that are recommended, the visitor experience improvements in terms of aesthetics, are no-brainers. And they also serve the Battle Road Scenic Byway, advancing a grant that includes those with a more, if that ensures more success in getting funding, that advances the work of the Battle Road Scenic Byway and hopefully would form a kind of cohesiveness. My big question is, and maybe this is purely ignorant, is that if the speeds are not reduced, as I was participant in many, many traffic studies and roadway improvements, at the current speeds, are some of the cross 2A suggested quote unquote improvements that are supposed to address safety, are they really in fact viable at the existing speed? And if they're not, doesn't that suggest they drop off until there is further addressing of the speed, which I'm hearing a majority of folks here in attendance at least are suggesting that the speed study and addressing speed is not appropriate for this grant and this grant cycle. So that's my question. Maybe it's a very simple answer.
Would you repeat the question?
The question is that if speeds do not change,
okay.
40 some odd miles an hour, is it safe to have a crosswalk in anywhere but where you have the maximum amount of sight line, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, do you not have severe constraints on where you can safely move people across a roadway where there are virtually no stop signs, where there are straight stretches, with the exception of Hanscom
Gotcha.
Drive.
Gotcha. Okay.
You get it? You know,
Yeah. Okay.
so
And
there are a lot of things suggested that are to address, in fact, safety, and with the assumption they're going to reduce speed, but with no evidence.
okay. Thank you, Sarah. And Chris has his hand up and he might have some answers.
Sure, I can respond to that. I'm not an engineer, and I haven't seen the most recent design plans for the Route 2A project. I know the number of pedestrian crossings has significantly been reduced since the original 25% plans, which I think were shared months ago. But you know, MassDOT would not put in pedestrian crossings if they did not believe there was evidence that they were going to be safe. If there was a chance that these are going to be more dangerous, they would not put the crossings in. So that is supported by engineering guidelines and past data from other projects in Massachusetts and nationwide. And relating to the speed study, which I feel like I have said a number of times, the reason MassDOT doesn't want to do a speed study now is because the Route 2A project is going to happen, and they wanted to do it after that project is complete, at which point those pedestrian crossings, which will have the impact that we hope they will have, why they're included in the project to begin with, will hopefully reduce the speed of vehicular traffic on the road, at which point they can consider lowering the speed along the corridor.
A quick follow-up question for Chris, and that is, with the installation of the crosswalks or whatever that you're saying, they would be deemed safe. You wouldn't put anything in, but would that require the flashing lights, the signage, the et cetera, et cetera?
I'm sorry, with all due respect, we have to stick to the subject of this grant. I have to say that the obsessive conversation about this project is part of why we're less than a week away from the grant deadline, and like we can't agree on what we're going to write about. So please, like, let's just set that aside for now. Thank you.
Okay, I think I would agree with that because we're getting back into the weeds of the project. And I think we have a lot of work to do. Paula, do you have something about the grant?
I was just going to respond to Sarah. Chris explained most of it. These two paths will build on what MassDOT's work is, so that we are working in partnership. These two paths and these two crossings are supported by the park. So we didn't just pull them out of the air, Sarah. This has been a lot of work and a lot of discussion, and
okay,
it will help tourism by safely getting people from one side to the other, and that's all I'll say.
Thanks, Paula. Okay, any grant? I've been seeing a lot of head shaking about the speed study and whether or not to include it. What is the committee feeling about having a decision now or waiting till the end of day? Is there any consensus? Is there a motion?
Well, you know, our governance principles say that a supermajority is needed to do anything, not just the simple majority, but 4 out of 5 entities.
I know.
And there were probably 2 or 2.5 entities in favor or opposed to the speed study. So we have an easy path to inaction here. If we don't compromise and end up with kind of a mishmash, which is what we have, then either side on this debate can just kill our whole effort here. So we need to just let everything in. I think if we're going to go forward, it's going to be very imperfect. I mean, I would rather there not be a speed study in there. It sounds like Arlington feels the same way. Would I kill the grant proposal in order to make that point? No. So, you know, how are we going to get through this, guys?
Yeah, I think, to be blunt, I think putting it in there will kill the grant proposal. And I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but like, I I believe that enough. And this is, again, no prejudice against it in itself, but just with regard to it being part of this grant application, I'm not gonna invest any more of my time writing this if we include it, because it's like, why should I spend all my time writing something that I know one of our project partners doesn't want? Like, the people who have to submit the application and press the button are like saying no. So I'm sorry, I have to tap out if that's the direction we're gonna take.
Well, I'd add to that, it was my understanding that the National Park said no too, that they don't believe it should be in because it'll hurt it. And I heard from the planner in the town of Concord that it wouldn't help. So why don't we just vote on this thing and move on?
Do you want to make a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion that this grant application do not include a speed study at this time.
I'll second.
Okay, Lexington. You guys are muted.
Can I speak?
No, Richard.
I mean,
If so, I guess maybe somebody has to call the question. If I don't know the protocol here, I'm sorry, Jean can help.
So.
well, I mean, I don't know what the protocol is either, but I don't think, speaking for Lexington, that my vote would say that the speed management needs to be included in some capacity. So I would have to, I think, vote no on the motion that's before us.
Can I speak to the arguments that have been made to eliminate it? Because I think they're quite important.
Richard, we've heard so much of what you've said.
No, you haven't.
Heard you say.
Not on the points that people have brought up.
I need just to clarify a point of order, and Elizabeth, if you could help us. If there's a motion on the floor, and there is, and people are still wanting to discuss, is that appropriate? Or is a vote required? Which is
So
what I would.
there is a discussion has been made, and the chair asked for a motion. A motion has been made. I believe it is up to the chair whether to allow further discussion on that motion or not. So there's been a motion and a second.
And so if discussion proceeds, someone could call the question, and that requires another vote. So if this is in my.
Well, this isn't town meeting.
Well, it's, I thought it was.
No, no, you are the chair, and
Yeah.
there's
Okay.
been a half an hour of conversation about this.
I think.
You can poll the board members and.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
I think we have to vote. I think we have to vote. We've been kicking this around for a long time. So I too think that the speed study is very important, but that's another conversation. So Lexington votes no.
Oh, yeah, well, Richard, I think we have to listen to Richard because he may not agree with me.
Jean, we've really heard from Richard a lot. And
Well,
if that decision is my decision, I think we have to go forward with it. I don't know that anybody's going to change their mind. And I'm sorry about that, but so Lexington, I really am sorry about that, but so Lexington votes no. Lincoln votes yes.
Lincoln votes to keep the speed study out, drop the speed study for this application.
And Arlington?
Arlington votes yes, keep the speed study out.
And the park?
Yes, we vote to keep the speed study out for the grant application.
So I am in the uncomfortable position of being the deciding vote on this one. I have to vote yes to keep it out. And I'm really sorry. I know the effort that Richard has put into this, and I know the need to look at speed along the byway, particularly along the Route 2A corridor, which may or may not have ever been decided to be in there. Elizabeth.
I agree that there does need to be something, and as I said, I agree that it needs to be out. But what I would like to put forward is that we have a transportation planner coming on board. We actually have somebody now who's doing all of that. If it's okay for her to reach out to Chris if need be, but look for another grant program specifically where that project would fit in great, and see if we can get a parallel track going and have her work on specifically a grant program to get something in kind of at the same time as this. I put that out there.
That's a great idea. I'd heard a rumor about this person.
It's a rumor.
But now it's still a rumor.
But I'll see what I definitely see what I can do with moving that forward.
I think that would be
because I think it is important before we get to 2025.
Okay, so thank you. That's actually very encouraging to me. Ollie, did you want to be more specific about? I mean, I know what you need from Concord, I think, but in terms of specific help or information that you're still needing.
So yeah, I think if Concord, if you all can kind of like just meld the two pieces together, just provide a little more clarity, because I've gotten some stuff from Beth and some stuff from you, Nancy. I just wanted to.
I know, I read it all. I read it all. We're on it.
Okay, great. Yeah, and so that, and then I'll probably send out a draft, like a better draft soon, and if we can have comments by it's so tight. Okay, so Wednesday, I'm just thinking about practicalities, because anything new that needs to get sent by the end of the day today, if possible, so that tomorrow I can work on it and then have a draft out tomorrow that we can get responses to for Friday would be
okay.
wonderful. Friday by noon.
So the draft, say that again, you want to do the draft by tomorrow, but by the end of day here, you need to get whatever information anybody has and wants to contribute.
Yeah, I would say like get it in my mailbox like by 8 a.m. tomorrow, so that I can like write tomorrow, and then I can send out a draft in the afternoon, and hopefully by Friday morning, have responses back. I understand it's a lot to ask, but it's a lot. There's just a short amount of time to work with.
I think it has to be said that without your efforts and without you stepping up, we wouldn't be as far along as we are, because I didn't see anyone else with the capacity to pick up that ball and carry it. And my only question remaining would be, is there someone who's technically talented who could back you up in terms of if for some reason you need help or you're not where you need to be, you might, is that helpful, or getting somebody else involved more?
Allie, if you want to send it to me, I'm happy to.
How about, Paula, could you work on the budget for me? I feel like there's two other, there's the narrative, right? Then there's the budget and budget narrative. And then there's there's forms that need to be filled out.
I haven't even seen the forms, and I've got meetings all day tomorrow. That's why I'm happy to edit, but I don't have the day free tomorrow to do it.
No, I understand.
I've got some time, Paula. I can help out on that.
By putting the budget together. Well, I think you just have to be proficient in Excel and whatnot.
Well, we've got our budget numbers. I didn't see any other budget numbers come through.
No,
so
I got
you
budget
got-
numbers last night, so I'm trying to shrink the project. a lot.
You know,
So-
the numbers are going to be,
But
it's
they
going
need
to be a shocker.
integrated.
Can I
They need
share
to be
something?
integrated.
So,
In
okay,
one
so
form.
Bob and I will help. Bob, are you shaking your head? Yes?
No, I was just shaking my head.
No?
Well, can you work in Excel? I think Ollie was saying, yes, that's an important skill. I don't have it.
Can I share some budget information?
I think we saw it, didn't we?
No.
I
Just send it to Ally, Richard. Just let's
Well, I'm gonna
not like
share it right here.
discuss it. Let's,
So.
Richard,
This out.
Richard, really,
Yeah.
your
Just-
numbers are all off. I can see it right now. So even though that might, whoops, I just lost you all. Oh, no.
On the right-hand edge.
We're still here. We can,
I know, sometimes Zoom just decides to do something different.
I have that too.
I think we should,
So one of the things I wanted to do was to look at the elements.
excuse me.
Richard, stop it, come
excuse
on.
me,
It's over,
yeah,
not today.
please stop.
What's over?
The vote's
budget's not
taken, this
over.
is out, we're moving on.
Right,
We've got a proposal to write.
right, and
It's not
here's the
helping.
stuff.
It's
Here's
not
the stuff.
helping, Richard.
That's not it. It's not right. I can
What-
see it. So would you please take your screen down, or Elizabeth, can you help me take the screen down? Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry this is turning out this way. It's really very painful. Bob, are you expert in Excel?
I know how to use it. I'm not a power user, but.
Yeah,
sure.
we'll figure it out. Me and Bob and the Excel lady on Instagram will get it done. I just need someone to help me verify like numbers. I'm not good.
Okay, and
I'm
what
not
you'll
good.
receive from Concord in terms of budget is going to be fairly precise.
And the paper, the forms, if anyone wants to volunteer for that, that's fine, but they're not that complicated. It's just another thing to
Are
do.
these forms, Chris, I remember Chris saying at one point that he was going to fill out 3 forms that are required. And maybe now's a good time for him to say what those are.
Yeah, Ali, excuse me, can I ask what forms you're referring to?
There's like a list of forms in the NOFO or the application that are like, if you're doing construction projects, you need these forms. If you're doing not, like, they're all there's some like non-collusion forms.
Mhm.
Maybe let's like, maybe a
You
small
guys, yeah.
subcommittee can kind of get together and work out these details after.
Okay,
Um,
I'm a little bit, but I'll fill out those. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can now.
I can fill out those forms and I'll look more closely at them. But have some free time tomorrow. So
Okay.
if you call, just feel free to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? I think we know what Ollie needs, so Concord knows what we need to do. And I think any other gaps? Overall length of the thing is looking like it might be less than 8 pages. Photographs, there may be some photographs that could be added. There could be some before and after pictures of the resources, but because we've done this once before in many places, so I don't know. Photographs, if anybody has any ideas about those, do you want those sent to you?
Yep, people can send stuff or just
As
drop it into
as
the,
attachment. I couldn't
Yeah.
figure out how to drop. That's a good point. Thank you. It didn't seem to let me do that.
that's okay. You can just send it to me and I can do it. Yeah, so I'm working on the budget with Bob Domnitz. That'll be fun. I'm working on the forms with Chris, and I'm gonna do like the edits with Paula and Sheila and let's see, Paula, Sheila, Beth. I'll send like,
I think it's better if Concord's represented by me. I can do that.
okay,
It's more overarching.
okay, sounds good. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
I think we all owe a big debt of gratitude to Ali
Oh,
for
no
doing
kidding.
this. I mean,
I
without her,
don't-
this wouldn't be happening.
I think that's absolutely correct. Thank you so much, Ollie.
Yes, thank you, Ally. I think we should all just get to work, Nancy.
And I also think I want to thank Richard for all the groundwork he's laid for a successful study of appropriate speeds and treatment of the byway, the entire length. So a motion, I can adjourn, Elizabeth tells me.
You
So
can.
at this point, the meeting's adjourned with thanks, I'm sure, all around from everybody to everybody else. So have a good day.
Thank
Carry
you.
on. Declare victory, move on.